Hey everyone, it's Pastor Doebler. The Lord be with you. Trying something new this week, video format rather than my standard midweek email. So we'll see how it goes. I've kind of, in my mind, tentatively been calling this my midweek minute, but we both know I'm not going to stay under a minute. I'll try to keep it brief though. So we've got our third reading from Galatians coming up this Sunday, and it's just been a joy to walk through Galatians and to explore especially this question, what is the baptized life? So what does our baptism do to us, for us, in us? And so the first week, Paul taught us how baptism gives us this new identity. We are clothed in Christ. And then last week, we talked about how this new identity produces a new obedience. We walk in the power of the Spirit, keeping in step with the Spirit, and waging war against the desires of the flesh. And in this final chapter of Galatians that we're going to be looking at this Sunday, Paul is going to explore a little more practically what this new obedience born out of this new identity looks like. And he's going to hone in on what it looks like within the family of God, within the life of the church. Because we have to admit that, our life together as a church is often a struggle, and it's often filled with tensions, because we do come into the church as individuals, but in coming into the church, we are made part of the body, and so we are joined to one another, and that's one of the things that God does for us in our baptism. And so what then is the way in which we are to live within this body as individual members, yet members of one another? And so Paul is going to say things in chapter 6 that at first seem a little contradictory. He's going to talk about the fact that we should bear one another's burdens. But then he's going to turn right around and say, each one of you should bear his own load. All right, Paul, well, which is it? Bear one another's burdens or bear our own load? The answer, of course, is yes. And Paul is going to help us to see how our responsibility toward one another in bearing one another's burdens and how this duty of bearing our own load gets worked out within our vocations. And so what are our vocations? Well, our vocations are the callings that God has placed upon us through which we serve our neighbor. And so God has made us mothers and fathers. He's made us children. He's made us employers and employees. He's made us rulers and citizens. He's made us pastors and parishioners, and so on and so forth. And so within these vocations, God imposes duties upon us, right? He makes demands of us. And so some have said that vocations for us, our vocations are law for us. In other words, our vocations demand obedience from us and demand service from us and demand that we give of ourselves for the sake of others. And yet, God uses these demands that he places upon us as a word of gospel for our neighbors. And so God, through the demands he places upon us, speaks his kind words, and he speaks and he communicates his mercy and his compassion and his love toward our neighbors, toward those that we serve in our vocations. And so the church is one of the places where this tension between, what's expected of me and what's my duty toward others is played out. And it's this wonderful thing to think about and to explore. And so we'll tackle that this Sunday. May you continue walking in your baptism this week. The Lord be with you.